As ETF inflows continue to rise along with Bitcoin's price, it's looking more and more likely that we will see an all-time high before the halving. Will this cycle be different than the last cycles? Plus, did Elizabeth Warren just bend the knee to Bitcoin? In a shocking turn of events, Bitcoin's most ardent enemy on Capitol Hill seems to have signed a document praising the work of Satoshi Nakamoto for inventing Bitcoin, calling it the world's first truly inclusive monetary system. We're clearly living in a simulation, and we're going to get to the bottom of it today. Welcome to the Thursday, February 15th edition of the Bitcoin Daily Show. I'm Dante Cook, head of Swan Business. Here at Swan, we're on a mission to educate the world about Bitcoin, so please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It will help us to teach more people about Bitcoin here on YouTube and help us break through the noise. Over the last 4 days, the new ETFs have taken in over $2 billion in inflows. Yesterday was another massive day, as we saw over $340 million in inflows. The price of Bitcoin has never been this close to a previous all-time high in the months leading up to a halving. Historically, new all-time highs happen 6 to 12 months after the halving. The halving has historically been the primary driver of behaviors and incentives in the Bitcoin network. But now, these new ETFs are providing an unforeseen catalyst that are changing the behavior and incentive dynamics that we once knew from previous halvings. As the price of Bitcoin continues to float towards new all-time highs, Bitcoiners are having the time of their lives right now.
Hey, the water's nice. You guys should really come out here.
In another incredible display of mathematics, Bitcoin takes a giant leap forward because of innovation in its Layer 2 protocol, the Lightning Network. Former PayPal and Facebook executive David Marcus, through his company Lightspark, says that they're able to process transactions of over $100,000 using the Lightning Network. It won't be long before banks will become obsolete because people will now be able to have instant settlement with a bearer asset with no middlemen involved. Is Elizabeth Warren waving a Satoshi flag over the Capitol for Bitcoin? I have my doubts, but kudos to the unpaid intern who risked their unpaid salary and being locked in a bunker for 3 months in order to get this done. All of this overnight success that Bitcoin is having is causing some major concern from the US government, who will be the last to adopt this novel technology. How do I know that they're concerned? When you go to file your taxes this year, they're going to ask you for your name, your address, your social security number, your marital status, and then if you own crypto. That is the 5th thing that they ask you on your taxes. In another example of government concern, government officials are seeking to fine Bitcoin mining companies $10,000 a day if they fail to respond to their survey highlighting claims about their excessive use of energy in just 10 days. You even have one of the heads of FinCEN, Brian Nelson, admitting publicly that the Wall Street Journal hit piece on October 10th claiming that Hamas used crypto in order to finance their terrorist attacks was verifiably false.
On October 10th, 2023, the Wall Street Journal reported that between August 2021 and June 2023, Hamas received 41 million in digital assets and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad received 93 million in digital assets. Undersecretary Nelson, is this Treasury's assessment too? Because the world's leading blockchain analytics firms have called this a misinterpretation of the data and that the amount that any terrorist might have received is significantly smaller.
Thank you for that question, Congressman. And yes, I think that assessment largely tracks with our own. The numbers noted in the Wall Street Journal piece talked about wallets, but not necessarily the sort of disaggregated among the wallets customers.
It's assets that people had in their wallets as opposed to what was specifically going to the Palestinian Islamic Jihad.
That's what we
and
think
Hamas.
is most likely. And we also assess that terrorists still prefer, frankly, to use traditional products and services. But this is something that we are obviously monitoring very closely.
What's even more troubling is that although the Treasury knows that this information was false and that senators like Senator Warren are using this information to pass crippling bills that might kill and stifle innovation from Bitcoin and other crypto assets in the United States, that they won't even go back and redact the statement or make it right. Why wouldn't they do that?
And instead we have senators who are legislating on these false figures and major CEOs using these figures to inform their perspectives on digital assets. Sure, We can go to Chain Analysis and use their third-party reporting, but Treasury already has the data. So doesn't Treasury have a responsibility to correct the record here?
And we've put out a number of reports on illicit finance risk in the context of virtual assets. And I think we have clearly stated, while there is not a significant uptake that we perceive currently, that it is an area of opportunity that we know terrorist groups could use. And we have seen some, not Hamas necessarily, but other terrorist organizations, particularly focused on the ability to use crypto to move their finance.
I appreciate that, but I'm talking about the misinformation that the Wall Street Journal has suggested, and that certain senators are doing, trying to base legislation on that would literally destroy innovation in this country. And I take it that you don't have a position then as to whether Treasury has an obligation to correct this record with the data that they have. And in my opinion, the Treasury must do a better job with all the data it has to paint an accurate narrative of digital assets and not perpetuate a false one. And with that, Madam Chair, I yield back.
Officials like Gary Gensler and Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen are seeking to steer a public message about anti-Bitcoin and that they have the economy under control. Prices are under control. Inflation is under control. We have everything under control.
Are you and President Biden happy with where inflation is right now?
Well, look, we know that Americans are experiencing discomfort because some important prices are higher than they were pre-pandemic. But what I think is really important is that wages have gone up along with prices.
How much of a risk are we facing of inflation making a comeback?
Americans should feel confident that inflation will come down to levels that will no longer really be noticeable or worrisome to them.
They're clearly trying to seed this messaging ahead of a re-election campaign, knowing that runaway inflation and runaway prices are causing distrust and frustration among a major portion of their voting population. Take a look at this chart. The top 1% of earners now own more wealth than the entire middle class.
Keeping inflation up, car insurance surged 21% over the last year. Rent has risen 6%, and daycare costs are up 5%. We met up with 3 Democrats at Detroit's Cadillac Square Diner, and while economic data points to a healthy economy, a different story is playing out in their day-to-day lives.
You have to get creative to supplement because it is not working.
How do you feel?
I worry. I mean, I have 2 kids who are 19 and 21. What I'm reading and hearing about the job market, I'm scared for them.
Hussein Dabaja struggles with inflation in his small businesses.
Within my kitchen cabinetry company, it's completely different. I mean, the price of material continues to climb.
What does that do to the volume of your business?
It brings it down.
They're all waiting for the Fed to cut interest rates later this year.
I'm really looking to be a homeowner and just to look at what you can get right now in the economy and what the interest rates is, it's not worth it.
Old guard politicians coming on mainstream news to tell you that Bitcoin is only for criminals and that they have everything under control. Their addiction to money printing and debt is under control is less believable than this flop from Draymond Green last night.
Special player, losing to Miami.
Don't just listen to their words. Watch their actions. If our elected officials continue signing $95 billion aid packages while we're sleeping, like they did earlier this week, and collectively sending over $2.5 trillion to other countries outside of the U.S. over the last 75 years, then nothing will change. Prices will continue to go up, inflation will continue to go up, and the infrastructure that we need to rebuild our economy and our system will go to other places. Life will continue to become more unaffordable as the money printer goes unchecked. Just like we're seeing now in the ETF markets, the world is voting with their wallets. Bitcoin is making all-time highs in currencies all around the globe, and TradFi is dumping old tried and true traditional products for this new Bitcoin phenomenon in these ETFs. If you're a candidate running for office, it seems like it would be wise to listen to what the people actually want. And we don't want the old financial system. We need a new one. As long as the Fed's up, America will be fed up. And with that, we're signing off today. This is Dante Cook with Swan.com. Happy stacking.